Well, there's also one thing that might happen, and maybe it's just me being too optimistic, is that maybe the value of traditional art, since it's gonna become more and more rare, it's gonna be increasing in value.
I agree with. That's exactly what I say to myself too, Mattteo.
Daniel's shaking his head because he's not doing anything traditional. So you. So can you black his screen out?
This is the Inkpulp podcast.
Boom.
Meow, meow.
I was a little late.
Yeah, but Jamie needs to add like some visual effects to Jonathan's little hand pistols.
Right.
Welcome to
Although I might be careful. I don't want to offend anyone.
Well, we're going to get there.
They're Nerf pistols.
Right. Those are going to be canceled next, Jonathan. I think those are teaching our kids the wrong things.
Yep. Give it time.
Well, welcome to the Inkpulp podcast. I'm here with my brother, Mattteo Scalera, and our good friends, Jonathan Glapion and Daniel Henriques. And Eric's coming at some point, but typical Eric fashion.
Man, we get all of you guys. It's crazy.
You do. Yep. You do. That's how we do.
It's like an orgy.
I think this is the first time that it's more than 4 people overall.
We're special.
You're right.
Eric makes it.
It is. Yeah, it's usually us
Package
3
deal.
and one guest, but you guys are so cute. We had to have you both on.
Take it away, Daniel. See you guys later. Got nothing to add here.
So, Mattteo, you had a goal for today's show, or when you came on, we were discussing the specific goal of today's show.
Oh God!
For everyone to be, everyone's going to get canceled today.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the goal that you gave me. That's the first thing that you told me when we started a conversation. So I'm curious. You just tell me the subject, and I'll find a way.
Okay.
Let's see.
What's
and you'll make it much worse than it seems.
All right, back to Lebanon.
I'm persona non grata in Lebanon.
Right. Oh shit! Damn. Now, which show are we bashing today? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I just recently did Philly.
Was that a Fan Expo show?
Yeah, it was.
Well, what was that like? Because we've talked about some Fan Expo shows lately.
I hadn't done it since maybe, oh God, I don't know, terrible dates, maybe 2019. So, and then it wasn't Fan Expo, it was something else, I think.
Right.
And it was kind of slow then. So I think the market is kind of, because they had those old shows, maybe, I think they're trying to rehabilitate that market. So then it's always weird.
Yeah. Did the Artist Alley just feel like a flea market of like fan art and stuff?
Kind of like you always have like the New York Times Square sections, as I call them. Like where it's like fucking Mad Max in the Thunderdome, where the fucking banners are like 30 feet high.
Right. Yes.
But there's rules, let's not have anything over 8 feet.
Those.
But so you have those massive things. I don't understand I don't want to sound like a dick or whatever, like, but I don't understand from what perspective are those good for Artist Alley?
I wonder.
Maybe just for the people who aren't into comics or something.
I wonder about that. It feels more like a Walmart approach to selling prints. Like, we just have everything, and you're going to like one of them. It's like a numbers game.
Out of 800, it's kind of like a carnival thing. It's a little weird.
The weird thing is then the con's not enforcing their own rules of actually making sure that it doesn't go above
right. What is that?
Height.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing that I think gets weird to me, is that it must be a want. They want that.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of any other. Like, it's not like they don't notice. it's like 30 feet high.
I know.
You can't see
I know.
8 rows behind you. So
I wonder.
I like the ones that like, I like the little kind of like cutesy ones where they're making like little jewelry stuff, because then I get my kids stuff.
Yeah.
But those those little they adhere to the rules of like the height and everything.
Yeah.
But they just make it like a little shop. Those are cool.
I like seeing that. I feel like I can. There's like you can like as someone who sets up at a con, you can see like take note about like what's working, what's not working,
Right.
and incorporate some of that into what you do. But I guess today, Jonathan, like you and I are always texting, and it's usually about cancel culture or AIs. So what direction do you want to go in today?
Ooh.
Because the last time we were texting, it was about AI. This is a phenomenon that kind of blew my mind. You told me about a hashtag that AI artists are using, and it took me into this Twitter rabbit hole where like people using AI are like creating an uprising against artists, like claiming to be artists themselves.
Right.
Do you remember what I'm talking about? Do you remember the hashtag?
I don't remember the hashtag. I don't remember what the hashtag was. I thought you told me about the hashtag, or did you, Daniel, tell me about the hashtag?
I do not remember. I remember having that conversation, but I don't remember the specific hashtag.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but I just feel like you have. I don't know. It's such a deep rabbit hole to go down, the whole AI thing. You have guys that feel like, well, you have like an extreme on both sides. You have the AI guys who can't draw, who are like, see, fuck you, I'm an artist too, that and they're kind of rubbing their thumbs in people's faces. But then you have the artist, and I hate to say it, to me it tends to be a lot of the pros who take the pitchfork approach to all of it. And if you'll see tweets, if I find out you looked at AI, I'm fucking canceling. You're unfollowed. I'm never going to follow you, even though you never talked to that person. So that's going to really impact my fucking life. I'm not going to follow you. I'm going to probably boycott food for a week. And it's just so extreme. It's like, dude, it's not that fucking serious.
And even worse, sorry to cut you off, Jonathan, because sometimes some of those is, I don't even care if you realize the meme you shared was AI. I'm just tired of seeing it.
Right. So then we go into the other rabbit hole of like, okay, so it's gotten, a lot of the AI stuff has gotten to the point where some of that shit's like, is that AI? Depending on what you're looking at. So then I wonder how much of the guys that are bitching who tend to Google for reference are Googling AI images and not realizing that they're now referencing AI shit because it's everywhere.
I've heard people say Google.
It's kind of happening like the same thing that's been happening over the last few years with news. Now there's fake news. You don't know what the news is, if it's real or not. It's got to be happening with art.
Right. It's happening with everything. I mean, this is a scary time. That's what scares me is when we as a species can no longer differentiate fact and fiction, which we're pretty close now.
Right.
When the information we're getting could be either and look the same. That's a dangerous place.
Well, especially with art, because people don't know. Like even my girlfriend. Like if I show her two different pictures, two different images, and one is made with AI and the other one is made, traditionally, she would be never, able to understand what is what. But at the same time, like it's not the same damage that the fake news and all this stuff does. I mean, it makes a damage to us personally, but we're just a niche group of people. It doesn't do damage to, humanity. Maybe in the long term.
Give it time.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we're fucked.
I think we're fucked anyway. So
Yeah. So we've always been here.
So going back to the first goal, let's all get canceled. Who gives a shit? We're all gonna die. So
let's burn it while we're
now
going down.
I'm gonna call Jonathan the N-word for the rest of the show. And
I love being called nice.
I've known you for over 10 years. I've never heard somebody call you nice.
Go on, asshole.
The other N-word a lot of times,
Right.
but the nice one, no, never.
Yeah. Let's get Daniel canceled. Do you know how many times Daniel has called me the N-word just yesterday? It's ridiculous.
It's in a loving way. No, actually, I can get canceled almost in the other way around, because when we first met and we started talking more, at the time on Google Hangouts and stuff like that, I think it was like maybe a month or two that we were already talking daily on like video chat like this, until I realized that Jonathan was black. And then I fought with him that, no, you're not black. We had a fight of Jonathan telling me he was black. And I was like, no, you're not. So
I'm Filipino.
Well, yeah, right. You're Filipino because the
Eric is the black
Eric's
one. Black guy now.
Right.
Yeah, Eric's black.
Exactly. So, yeah.
I mean, he's got bigger lips than you, so might as well.
that sounds so wrong.
Are we getting close? Are we getting close to cancellation?
We should
No,
have.
I think you did it. I think you crossed the line. I think
you
you're
gotta have
done.
a meter that just kind of sways over.
Like a power bar. That was like 10 points. Like close. Like the bar is getting red and it's trying to tremble.
It's like Mortal Kombat. You're ready for the power move.
It hits the full meter, and then Matteo's screen just drops off. Canceled. But yeah. Back to AI. Anyway, easy subject. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I mean, it makes what I think about a lot when it comes to AI is like when photography came out, the painting world like lost their mind. Like this is the death of painting, and all it did was make painting more specialized, and a lot of painters stopped trying to reproduce reality, and they put more of their individuality into their work, and painting shifted. And then when the when the printing presses changed and you no longer needed like hand typeset stuff, everyone said printmaking is going to die, but that just became a more specialized fine art form and not a commercial art form. So I'm just like, I keep that in the back of my head, and I wonder where are we going with.
And how many Lightrooms do we have right now as far as photography? My brother's a photographer. It's all and then came digital. So it's these things are. For me, I kind of just look at the whole AI thing. I think even from the beginning as an interesting tool, and it doesn't mean you have to use the tool or even have any interest in a tool. Certain tools are just or certain mediums you're not attracted to or whatever. But I didn't get that so much the fear of oh my God of being replaced, because as an inker for decades, I've always heard of being replaced. Right. And it didn't stop me from inking, and it never stopped me from wanting to get better at my craft.
Right. And also we've been told comics is going to be dead soon for the past 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's another conversation. To me, the whole AI thing, sorry to cut you, Mattteo, is because Shawn, when you started talking about it, you were like, do you want to talk about cancel culture or AI first? And are they different at this point? That's part of what kind of upsets me, to be honest, with AI, is the amount of artists that I've respected for a long time having such harsh views in wanting, because they put it in a nice way, but what they're trying to do is rile their fan base against a specific artist who did something. And it could be somebody who used traditional for his entire career, but he did the mistake of using AI once, so now he's not worthy of being in the art world anymore. I'm at a point, and again, I have no interest in AI one way or the other, but I'm at the point that's actually annoying me a lot more than AI itself, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I understand the point where like AI, I get, this is where I'm torn. AI samples from a bunch of artists. Like it pulls art. So to call it plagiarism is one side of the argument. But as someone who like loves hip hop, I've always stood by the idea that you can take an old song, a couple of old songs, and mix them up and speed them up and slow them down and make an entirely new song. And I never felt like that was plagiarism. I felt like they were taking old art and creating something new from it. But I think what balanced the playing field was when the people they were sampling got financially compensated for for the work being used. Now, so if that happens, are people going to calm down? That's what I wonder.
Nope. I don't think so. We've had this conversation multiple times, Jonathan, because the argument since the beginning, I saw a lot of artists and even there's lawsuits and everything in process. And the dialogue was always, again, exactly that. This was used without our consent. We need to be well paid. If that happens, we're okay with it. I think what we see online is they're not okay with it, even if there's going to be compensation, because it's still, and it does suck. A hit of a button and it produces, I don't want to call it a work of art, it produces a finished piece. Nobody's going to like that per se if you're an artist. But to say that you're going to be happy upon getting compensation, no. I think, in my opinion, it's just one next step to then be able to complain about something else and try to take it out of the equation.
And that's my
thing.
culture.
So what's interesting is then, and that is that I find is if the complaint is the compensation, how do they determine what percentage of the art that was yours got mixed into this art soup and made a thing? You know what I mean? So then is the compensation 0.1%? And like, then no, they're never going to be, no one's going to be happy with, half a penny.
Nope.
Right.
Or whatever the number is.
That's true.
So I think it's just, we opened a can of worms that no one is going to put back into that can or the box.
You can't.
Because now corporations are involved. AI is in
everywhere.
everything. Cars, phones, everything. Photoshop,
Yeah, absolutely.
I know. Every time I open Photoshop, it's like, hey, do you want to download the Photoshop AI stuff? I'm like, no, I don't.
Do you want to not draw today? Yeah, push this button.
Well, there's also one thing that might happen, and maybe it's just me being too optimistic, is that maybe the value of traditional art, since it's going to become more and more rare, it's going to be increasing in value.
I agree with that's exactly what I say to myself too, Mattteo.
Daniel's shaking his head because he's not fucking doing anything traditional. So fuck you. So can you black his screen out?
I disagree
you can
with
disagree
that
all you want.
completely.
Okay, why do you
shit?
Why do you disagree, Daniel?
I disagree with the
because he doesn't do traditional art.
Nope. Again, there's people who want to be artists. They go from inking to be full-fledged pencil and inker and everything. And there's the lazy ones who try to write. It's different. I don't want to have a hassle. No. But here's why I think it's not going to happen. Because, and again, Mattteo was saying that original art is going to be a lot more rare. I disagree. I think it's going to be way more common than ever because people can just trace the AI. We're at a point now that the quality of what we see published, it's lower than it's ever. We have the two spectrums. It's on one hand the best that it's ever been, and a lot of times kind of really rushed, and I don't want to say the worst it's ever been, but there's a new low. So tracing over AI, who's already finished, it's going to produce a lot of original art. That's
a good point.
That's why I disagree with that.
Here's
why.
No,
I
in
think
general, I wasn't talking about specifically original art, but in general, traditional artists, meaning that I have a traditional upbringing, meaning that know how to do the job without AI and they're trained. Yes. The value on the market for those artists maybe is going to be going up, but again, maybe it's just me being optimistic.
No, that I agree.
The starting point for me is that I don't know, but I was asking you guys, like, is that an option you think? To me, it's an option that's on the table. But at the same time, you have to consider that, if you're trained to be and work the way that we work, we're still going to be ways lower than AI. And, there's going to be a lot of downside to it. So since we're still dealing with corporations and big companies, I don't know if they're willing just for the sake of, let's hire a real artist and let's spend a ton of money on them just because. I don't know if they're gonna be able to make that to reason in that way, or if they're gonna be like, hey, it's way cheaper, and let's hire somebody that works with AI because it's cheaper. They're gonna ask for less money because everybody's doing it now. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean that's what corporations do. So I think what we're seeing now and what we'll continue to see more of is the artists building their own paths and not relying on these corporations for money.
Which is a good thing.
And I don't see that as a bad thing, right? I think it's a good thing. And back to Daniel's point, right now creatively, comics is like more amazing than it's ever been, but the publishers are putting out mediocrity left and right.
Yep.
So I think that's the shift is you're seeing the amazing artwork, but it's going to be independent, and then you'll just see the Happy Meals that the publishers are putting out.
Yep.
Hey, Eric, what's up?
Hey, Shawn, I was just looking for Mattteo online like I do every morning for my daily dose of inspiration. And all of a sudden, I stumbled upon his new website.
Mattteo has a website? That's amazing. Let me see.
Isn't it great? It has everything you need to know about Mattteo. You can buy his books, check his newest Instagram posts. You can even watch the latest episode of our podcast on it.
Wow. Mattteo is amazing. This is so great. But wait a second. What is this?
This is the best part. By subscribing to the Dumb Shark newsletter, not only will you receive promo codes for original art on Essential Sequential and information about new releases, but you'll also have access to a digital version of Behind the Fins, which is Matteo's unpublished new sketchbook that collects all of his best cover layouts.
Wow, Mattteo is so generous. This is an awesome gift. I want it too. Let me subscribe right now.
Yeah, Mattteo really knocked it out of the park with this one. Right when you think he's hit his peak, he somehow finds a way to outdo himself. I'm so impressed.
Hey guys, I'm a little worried. Looks like someone keeps looking for naked pictures of me online. Wait a second. Eric, is that you?
Nope.
Well, because I agree even with what you guys were saying, because I think one of the problems, and that already shows, and when you try to look for reference on anything online, there's like AI everywhere. So AI, it is going to dominate our lives, and I think it will dominate entertainment. And I think more and more, I think artists will have to be their own entertainment hubs, be it with channels, social media, all of it's not just I'm doing a drawing. You're almost your own network or channel, and you're doing your own stuff that sets you apart from what's going to be, again, the Happy Meal of art, which is AI. That's what I'm hoping, and I don't see it as a horrible thing either, because it will allow for actual creative people to rise above.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I agree too. I had a really interesting conversation with the art director of Marvel Snap, Jamaro Kindred, and his company had a big meeting, and the I guess the executive board was they had a discussion. Do we bring AI in and we don't have to, and we can get rid of some people? And he made the most amazing point. He's like, okay, let's say we bring AI in. Now we're producing games faster. All right. So we can put out more games in a year. All right. But the video game market is only this big, like it's X amount of people. So now you're trying to sell more games to the same amount of people. So you're devaluing each game and devaluing your company. So yeah, you're putting out more games faster, cheaper, but now the company's value is going down. And I was like, I hadn't thought about that. And I was like that. So after he said that, they were like, okay, no AI. And I respected the hell out. Like that was smart.
Yep.
And I respect that.
Yep.
So, if you see these publishers starting to go that route, like I said, they're just going to be pumping out Happy Meals.
Yep. 100%.
Like I know the whole thing, I don't know if you guys caught wind of the whole thing with the spawn contest.
Yeah.
Oh
With
yeah,
the-
yeah.
The AI thing, and the first thing that, of course, the mob goes for Todd
Right. Of
and
course.
demanding he apologize for,
Right.
it's like
And
there's
not
an-
just
I-
demanding, it was aggressive.
I want to hear.
Right.
Yeah, I want to hear this whole story, but real quick, that attitude right there, you owe me an apology. That's what I don't understand. It's the canceling of Ed. It all boiled down to, for me, this has nothing to do with any of you people, including myself. Nothing. It is between two other people. There's no crime that was committed. That's between them. It's none of our fucking business. So to act like it's such an entitled position to be like, you need to explain yourself to me. No, you don't. It has nothing to do with you.
But even the problem, like the way you just put it, like if that was an aggressive way of complaining to Todd, that's the mildest of responses of what was going on. There was so much bile in those comment sections. Todd is a piece of shit. I used to love your work. You're spitting in the face of Image. Like, and this is, I'm still being mild. It's when I'm like, what are you doing?
The good thing is that if I understood Todd correctly, he doesn't give a shit.
Right.
No.
That's
honestly the best way to be.
And then, but then for me, it's like I can take kind of seeing those responses from random fans or so-called fans, because most of them weren't fans. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah.
It's the pros that pissed me off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names, but it's the pros that I saw that I'm like, really? Because next week, you motherfuckers, if Todd called and wanted you to do whatever, you'd be in line.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, cool. Sounds good. So that kind of attitude, it pisses me off more from professionals than it does, because we have the ability to kind of talk shit to each other on the phone and air out our whatever, but we don't have to go get on a soapbox and, slam another professional or whatever.
Right.
Unless they're a dick or whatever. I don't know.
So let's explain really briefly what happened so that people, everybody's informed. So
go for it, Daniel. You know the rundown.
I don't really know what happened exactly. So I know a little bit of it. So Shawn, do you want to explain, or Daniel? Or
no, Daniel. I know some of it, but these guys are inside.
Todd did a contest where the goal of it was to get fans to do art for Spawn, and then Todd would pick, I think initially would be 4 covers, one for each book, based on the votes and everything. And he opened it to professionals as well. So there were professionals entering and fans alike. Initially, day one, there was backlash right away because Todd or whoever was doing it from Todd's people didn't include no AI accepted. So there was crap right away. They re-uploaded it with that rule. And then, fast forward, I think thousands probably of submissions came in. I saw interviews of Todd where he said much more than they ever expected were submitted. In one that was AI was...
Wait.
Go.
I have to stop you. I'm sorry. Before it got to that, Daniel, if you remember, there was a complaint before AI. It was the whole, Todd's not paying.
I saw that.
So they were complaining. It's a fucking contest. If it was never stated that this was $100,000 contest if you win, then you're just giving your thing as a contest.
See, now
the prize was you'll get published. Like that was the prize.
Right.
There was a lot of people, and they even created a hashtag for that, and again, calling pod names in all kinds of stuff.
So you see how it works? When that complaint doesn't work, then it's the next thing, and then it's the next thing after that.
And this is exactly what Daniel was saying, where cancel culture and AI just come together, and it's just the same pool.
One big happy family.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because, again, most of the people who are complaining about that, and I'm not trying to criticize it, it's not even a thing of the quality of their work. I never saw it, but was pretty much unknown people were the ones like, my worth is this or whatever, you got to pay me. And it's so weird because, and again, this is a little tangent, but when I got into business, and Jonathan helped me get into business, I spent around 2 years doing shadow inking where I wasn't even credited ever on anything, just owning my skill, trying to learn. To me, that like in seeing this counter movement of people just even over a contest makes me go like, nobody would be able to even enter it this way anymore. It's completely insanity how people react to it.
It's that entitlement. What you just said, we all paid our dues. We all did shit for free, or we got fucked over, or we all did stuff. It taught us how to be better business people. It taught us how to hone our craft. All these things I saw as, when I look back, I see as necessary. And there's this entitlement now of I shouldn't have to struggle to get in to do comics.
But aside from that, to put it even simpler, there's a contest. Okay, let's say that tomorrow I'll create a contest. And I say, this is the contest. These are the rules. If you don't like the rules, just don't participate. And that's it.
Exactly.
Just don't bust my balls.
That easy.
You know?
But that's hard to do.
Yep.
But Mateo, I have the internet, so I can complain.
Right. But and then that's the problem, because again, then when the results came, one of the people who were selected was a person who used AI. Now here's where it gets, and I don't want to say tricky, because I doubt Todd. It's tricky, but I think it was exacerbated a lot by people online, because the dude, when he uploaded his image, he specifically said no AI used, done with Photoshop and Procreate, and that's what they were seeing. His entire gallery was AI, but he said in that piece he did not, and that's what they were seeing because it was the hashtags. Again, people immediately started harassing, because I will use the word harassing Todd, the dude itself. And again, I don't care about him or any of that. I don't really care. But the way people started attacking, because then the dude started being aggressive as well in calling out fans.
That guy was an asshole.
He was, but no, he did not do any. But how many fans did the same thing to him before he even replied?
Sure.
That's the problem. But, the problem per se.
Yeah, the problem. I agree with you. Like the people going at him was a problem, but his attitude and the way he was gloating, like, you all are just haters. I won. I worked my whole life for this. It's like, hold on. You put some words into a program and spit out an image. Like,
yes,
let's be real.
But how could Todd here? Because here's the problem that I see. Because again, we're artists. We could see what that is. Todd wasn't paying attention or something. He saw an image and he selected it.
He's got a lot going on. Yeah.
How? But now, and again, everybody's calling him to cancel that dude. How can Todd prove now that it was accepted? How can Todd prove that was AI? In the way that people kept harassing and complaining, I don't want to say harassing, because again, the dude was doing the same. People were complaining and posting and all of that. It gave time for the dude to go back, and you can clearly see that he traced what he had done for the process. But again, we go again. How do you actually prove that it was not AI? So in my opinion, they were actually even putting Todd in a bad situation, because to call that guy out, you would have to almost call everybody out and be like, okay, now show me everything, your process and all of this. It's just a complete mess that was created by all of this mob online.
Now,
it's the thing too is, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. The problem I always have with people that take that approach of like demanding an apology, I'm a strong believer in, you have to let someone apologize.
Yeah.
You can't always demand somebody to apologize when you need it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes someone a minute to process.
Sure.
You know what I mean? We don't know what Todd was dealing with the staff or whatever, and how to deal with that issue behind the scenes. But it wasn't good enough for the mob, because they weren't seeing how Todd was dealing with it behind the scenes. He doesn't have to deal with it in public first.
Right. I
so let me go apologize first, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do. He's probably figuring out how to handle it.
Right. Yep. And that, right. I agree with you totally. Now,
because any really good artist can take AI. If you're really good, let's even leave AI out of it. Every one of us watches movies. How many of those movie backgrounds are matte paintings?
Right.
So if you're really good at what you're doing, it's going to be hard to figure that out anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
So we've been photo bashing forever.
right. Yeah, dude, a lot of people don't like when I say this, but when drawing on a computer first came out, I was just like, I don't know about this. It just didn't feel right. And then SketchUp came out, and I was like, I will never use that. And I was like one of those people who just was vocal about don't use SketchUp, and then it was like photo tracing and filters on Photoshop. I mean, I just saw this as a really bad path, and it all leads down to AI. So it's like, take an artist who basically finds a photo on the internet of a model, traces it primarily, adds a little their few touches on top of it, and then uses it as a cover, but then is vocal about how much they hate AI. And it's like, there's a disconnect here.
This
Or
is the
buildings.
dilemma.
By the way,
all
are you
kinds of
talking
reference.
about it because of what happened recently about the legal thing? Because I was about to say
I was going to say we can talk about that. That's not. I thought of that as I was telling the story. But do you guys know about this?
Painter who's been sued by a photographer because he basically redid, he did a painting, and it was basically a photography that he saw, that he found, that this guy I think, I don't remember, that they found online, and the photographer sued this person, and they won.
And she won.
So they're
And they
yeah.
She. It's funny. I know who you're talking about. I've been following her since DeviantArt days.
Yeah.
And she was really good back then. I don't know how old she is now, but I know she was really young then, from what I remember.
Yeah.
But I know who you're talking about. I follow
the painting.
her.
The painting was beautiful. It was a beautiful painting.
Yeah, the thing that saves the painter is that it still takes a lot of time to have the technical ability, the technical skills to reproduce that photography the way that it was done. So at least you gave them that pass. You know, it wasn't smart for sure. That idea wasn't smart, but at the same time, you're like, okay, it was wrong what they did, but at least you're a good painter. You know.
So did he not change? He didn't change any of it.
Just the colors here and there, but it was basically the same image. Yeah.
Wasn't it just flipped? Wasn't it just flipped?
Yeah,
it was
I think
flipped,
it was flipped too.
and then changed a few colors here and there.
But it was the
but-
same image.
That is.
Well, I remember. I don't know if you guys ever remember. You used to see a lot of people bitching if somebody used a light box.
Yeah.
In comics, like if an artist used a light box, it's like, what? Like, why are the people who aren't drawing telling the artist what tools to use and how to draw?
Yeah, that's a strange one.
Oh yeah,
Just
that's a strange
enjoy
one.
use it.
The
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I always use a light box.
Disgusting. I'm just kidding. Nah, this is all tools.
But
you know?
yeah. So what? The thing is, since that Todd McFarlane thing, something happened last week where DC published a book, and the artist, I don't know why, for a few panels, used AI. It might have been a deadline issue. I don't know, but it was an obvious jump. How the editor didn't catch it is beyond me, but that speaks to editors today.
Did they not catch it?
Big blow. The what?
Did they not catch it? Because we're assuming they didn't.
Right, I'm assuming they didn't catch it. Yeah, that's a good point too.
Because there was a lot more than a few panels.
Oh, was there?
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So
Daniel helped him.
He was my
Digital sorcery.
Yeah,
but
with your words.
I think the pressure on artists to constantly be faster is the tail wagging the dog. I think we've gotten to a point, and I think, again, this is why a lot of comic book creators are going the independent route, because we're losing the quality, we're losing the craft, we're losing all these things to what the businesses want because they need to make more money because their business aren't doing great. So I think it is important for us to kind of stand our ground a bit and say, no, I'm not gonna do it that fast. And if
I remember early earlier in my career as an inker, if I look back, and this is very early on, I remember being concerned about my speed because I was really slow, especially starting out with Todd. I was like super slow. I even had a conversation with Todd and was like, just told him like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. Like, it just takes me like too long, like 12, 16 hours a day to ink a page.
Yeah.
And it's just not, I don't see how I can do it. And he had his way of calming me down. He's like, you just don't have all the information in your head. You care about every single line when every single line is not that important.
Right.
So, it kind of walked me through that. And, you do things, I create little exercises for myself. I used to use a stopwatch and time, just to time myself, not to race, but to know how long it was taking me to do a specific thing on the page. Like, how long did it take me to ink this rubble? It didn't take that long, Right. And so those little things I used to do in the beginning. But I think, like, as I got older, what I started to realize is it's okay to tell people that you're not fast.
Yeah.
But I think
I got that too.
I think a lot of people are afraid to say, no, I can't do a page a day, or I can't. It's better to just be upfront than to get yourself in a situation where you're in a hole all the time.
Yeah.
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 So.
I agree. And I remember like people would like, I remember being offered a job where like the book was due in like 3 weeks. And I was like, I need 6 weeks. Like, could I go to my table and get this done in 3 weeks? Yes. But the work is going to look shitty and I don't want to put that out. So I say no, and I'll get a job where it's a 6 week thing. And I think that's part of the, first off, a publisher shouldn't be asking for someone to do it an issue in three weeks, mostly. Like,
right. Like, what's going on,
like, how did
where
we
you're
get
not
here?
scheduling things when you're putting someone in that situation.
And I know a bunch of artists who would take that job and bang it out. It wouldn't be their best work. And then that's what people see. And then it's like, well, now I'm having trouble getting a job because the last thing I put out, it just didn't look great.
And then there's the dilemma. You become the
just the fast guy,
fallback guy, like the fast guy.
You're the cleanup guy. Yeah. You're no longer the artist. You're just the cleanup guy. Like, you know, you're the hitman.
I remember us having that conversation because, again, I got into business thanks to Jonathan in a lot of ways. I probably wouldn't have even quit my day job if not for Jonathan kind of pushing me a little bit, because I already had an apartment. Well, because that's the thing. You weren't. You still are. It's a continuous process. But the thing is, because like even the way that Jonathan was just talking about, like how Todd was so considerate to him and all of that, I think that's something that's missing. And even 10 years ago when Jonathan was helping me, I never had that, because I would tell him I'm slow and everything. You'd be like, shut up, bitch. You can still work. Do it faster. So we created a different kind of growth. But no,
through
it
pain,
helped.
not through love and consideration.
No. There was a lot of, just to give you an idea, because at the time we would already do this, because we were both working and we'd have video on just to have pretty much to keep each other up. And this is literally what would happen sometimes middle of the night. Jonathan or me like, oh man, I'm really tired. I got to take a power nap. So the only thing that would happen would be this. Wake me up in 30 minutes.
Yep.
And we'd be on camera for like 30 minutes until the other one.
Jonathan's
we
like,
literally had a virtual studio, man.
Yeah,
it was
awesome.
a virtual studio.
That's great.
And that's how we kept each other going.
I think there's a value in being able, because normally, like, a book at least used to be 24 pages, and a book is monthly normally. So there's a value in learning how to deliver a book every month. Maybe just for 1 year, 2 years, or whatever, or otherwise you can find other ways. But there's a value there. But at the same time, I agree with what we're discussing, especially with some people that stop by the table, some students, and that bring their portfolios. And they're like, and at a certain point, I see a difference in quality. So they show me, I don't know, like a 20-page story. And you can tell that it's very rushed up. And I'm like, okay, so here, what happened? And they were like, oh, no, this one was made really fast because I decided to do it just in 3 weeks or something. I was like, okay, I understand the value in this exercise, but what I suggest you to do, since you're not a professional yet, so you have time on your hand, just find your quality level that it's ideal for you. And even if it takes you a week to do a page, okay, find the quality that you're happy with, that you see your page and you're like, wow, this is a good page. I like this page. And then keep doing it, and you'll see it'll get faster and faster, and see where you can go with it. And maybe from to a week, it will become 5 days, and then it will become 3 days, and maybe ideally two days, probably.
Yep.
But so I see the value in both things. Like, I understand there's value in finding quality. At the same time, I see, like, I really respect, like, artists that are able to constantly deliver, like, on a monthly book. It's really, I'm really respectful towards that
and
as well.
Mattteo, you did something that I still don't quite understand. I mean, you made a choice where you're like, I'm just gonna move fast, and it's my quality is gonna take a hit for a little while, but you were able to see that you'd come out the other side. Like, you're fast as hell, but you're also one of the most amazing artists making comics right now. Like, I could never see myself going through that tunnel, coming out the other side where you are.
Well, actually, like, the quality thing was not a thing that I recognize immediately. I recognize it now because I'm spending more time on the pages. I wasn't seeing it when I was doing 2 books a month, because I was just focused on doing 2 books a month. I didn't do it for long. Like, I did it long enough to tell myself, to pat myself on the back and say, wow, man, you did it. And then right immediately after that to tell myself, okay, let's not do that anymore. So, I realized that almost immediately. But the quality thing, I realized it after. So it wasn't my choice to have a lower,
but even when
quality.
Right, but even when you slow down, you're very fast and your quality is incredible. Like, I think the exercise of moving that fast through that period you did taught you, like, gave you the ability to work fast, maybe not as fast as you were, but still be fast and achieve such a high level of quality. That's rare.
Well, because when you work so much, like, after a while, the brain goes like, it doesn't take you, like, I don't know, 1 hour to get warmed up, because the brain is still in that mode. So you're already on fire. So sometimes I would just do like 5 pencils in one day, because I was just, it was just hot. I was doing like 16 hours, like consecutive 16 hours of work. So I couldn't do it forever, but your brain goes on another, it's on another level, on another planet,
But you had to have had already, at that point, you were already confident. You were a confident artist. You know what I mean? So then
I've always been confident. I've always been like, I don't know what it is. I've always been really, really confident in my skill. And even now, I see my work back then, and I can see a lot of flaws. But back then, my confidence was covering for it. So I was still able to say, I like this stuff. I'm doing a good job. I don't know what it is. I'm just confident in that way.
Yeah,
it's funny it's funny to even hear that, because again, me and Jonathan speak on the phone literally every single day for decades, and now that we're doing this new project and everything, I swear to God that Jonathan's creativity is fueled by cursing, because it's just the weirdest thing. Again, what you're talking about, confidence and ease, Jonathan is literally fueled by bitching and cursing and then getting it done.
I yearn to get to where Matteo's headspace is. Like, that is the goal, to get to improve and to gain the confidence, and even just to kind of always kind of like appreciate my own work. I don't tend to like my own work, and I don't know what that is. I don't know how I struggle with that.
Yeah, but Jonathan,
but is your goal like easier? Sorry to interrupt, Shawn, but I'm gonna make it really quick. Is your goal like? Do you think that when you start working every day, do you think that your goal is to do something that you like?
No, well, it should be to do something that I like, but I recognize I'm always concerned if someone else is going to like it.
Okay, that's where the problem comes from.
That's the obstacle course that I'm kind of in the times where I do have pockets where I just don't give a shit, and I just go for what I like, and those are the times where I enjoy working. But it's the minute I started thinking about, I don't know, like, and then I start questioning everything.
Yeah. So sorry to interrupt, but when I really want to focus on what you said. Like you said about other people. What people are you referring to? Like the audience, meaning, the readers, or specific like other professionals?
No, it's not so much it's not so much the readers. It's more like your peer group, like your colleagues or your what is contemporaries or whatever you
gotcha.
It's that situation. It's like, at some point, every time you put something out there, one way or the other, you're judged one way or the other. It's up to you to give a shit or not. So I'm just saying I recognize that tends to be sort of what trips me up and and I don't like it. So I'm very, I like to figure shit out. So it's the same approach that I had with inking, where I sucked at inking certain things and in the beginning, and I just stuck with it because I just wanted to win that thing.
Absolutely.
So it's it's just tricky, and I do yell at Daniel a lot.
Well, what I was going to say, Jonathan, is, I mean, you spent like the bulk of your career inking, and now you're stepping into a new area where you're penciling, inking, and coloring yourself.
Yeah.
So
it's
like
different.
so some of those areas are still very new to you. So like I remember feeling what you're feeling, and that's when I was first getting started. So I think it's normal. I think it's natural to feel that way. But also, you're in a weird position where you became such a badass inker that all of your contemporaries were rock stars, and now you're starting to pencil, so you're worried about that. Like, that's a lot of pressure.
It's funny you say that too, because a lot of times I have to step back and think about this for a second. And I go, okay, I'm inking over Greg Capullo, but I'm not inking over beginning Greg Capullo.
Right.
I'm inking over figured everything out Greg Capullo.
Right.
So, where there is no weaknesses on the page. So it gets a bit like, and then I have to realize it's a bit like, it's a lot like, I guess, like working out, right? You're like, you're not gaining any muscle or anything without pain.
Right.
So now for me, I'm in the baby stage, to be completely honest. I have to even figure out, like, I could get up and fucking ink, and it wasn't just the simple fact that, there's something on the page already for you. I still had to figure out, how to navigate inking over certain people, inking over Greg, and kind of master that thing. But it's the thing is the switch for me, like switching to what I'm doing now, the part that I was like, holy shit, you have to draw a lot. And when I'm inking a lot.
Right.
So, I'm getting those reps in, I'm working out, but then, throughout the years, the more I was inking and focused on inking, the less I was drawing. So now it's like trying to get back in shape again and figuring it all out. And then even finding my own voice.
Makes sense.
And, accepting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's tricky.
So where are you on your guys' book? Where are you right now, Jonathan? Or what issue?
Working issue 2.
Issue 2. And
Yep.
And how many issues
And
is the book?
75.
Ongoing.
Oh, it's an ongoing. Oh, okay.
Ongoing or until I'm fired. No.
Have they figured out a release date or anything yet, or it's too early?
We're talking about can we say
it is out. It is out. Yeah.
It was out there October.
We're aiming towards
okay.
It's not solicited
Aiming towards
yet.
October.
Okay.
We put it out there that we're aiming towards October for New York Comic Con, but it's not solicited
Oh,
yet.
that's cool. Okay.
And
And
it's
when I'm realizing, go ahead, Daniel.
it's a bi-monthly book.
Yeah,
My monthly. Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
because
okay.
I am not asking for a
That's-
monthly. Sorry,
No, but
Mattteo.
that's one of the things I do appreciate about Todd's company is they're very artist friendly. They want to bring out the best in the artist, and they'll adjust schedules and create publishing plans that help the artist rather than just pump it out and collect the pennies.
Right.
I do
Right.
appreciate that. Daniel, how are you feeling as a newish writer?
Really great. Jonathan is doing all of the hard work. I mean, it's really, really easy. Like whatever there's nothing on the page. Like I don't get it at all. Like all of the crying, I really don't get it. No, it's
You should have sound like you're suffering. Then that way you get your pay up. You know.
No. It's interesting because even what you're saying about Todd, because it's not just like what Todd and Thomas and everything are allowing us to do. It's not even just the art or whatever, because they allowed us to create a new book. We're 2 inkers, Jonathan a lot more veteran than me, and they allowed us, like I had never wrote, Jonathan had never really done sequentials like this, and we created a book. In just for context, this book came from the conversation of both of us saying, Jonathan, I want to draw, me saying I want to write, and it was like, then write something that I don't have to draw a lot. I don't want to draw buildings, and I don't want to draw cars, and that's how this project came about. I'm not even kidding. That's how this project
And
came
now
about.
it's a whole story about building in cars.
Right.
It does have some buildings, but no cars so far.
Yeah.
But it's been really cool, the whole process, to be honest, because like you said, everybody's been very hands off. We did a small pitch, and then I had to do a write-up. And I think this is also due to both of us being so green. Because I guess when you send like a little pitch or something, after the initial 1-page pitch got accepted, I guess you send like maybe 3, 4, 5 issues. I sent 12. And with plans for already what was coming to issue 20 and maybe issue
That's
30.
great.
I had it all mapped in my naivete, always with the caveat of, but if it ends here, it can end here, like with stop points per se. But we always just assumed, if we get to just even tell these 2 arcs, that will be great. If we get to only tell one of these arcs, that's great either. And fortunately, it was accepted. We had a long Zoom call with Todd to go over all of this because I am using, or we are using, one of the characters from, and Spawn is at 353, comes out today when we're recording this, and we're getting one of the characters from issue 5 as one of our main characters. A little girl that only appeared in like 2 panels and is completely inconsequential to anything Spawn related. But they really allowed us to grow this, to create this huge universe around it. And to Jonathan has like open door to draw however he wants and do all of like crazy shit that he wants. I mean, personally, I think it's been really great. And I got to a point that I kind of enjoy Jonathan's whining at this point. When a page is hard and he's like struggling, I do take joy from it at this point.
What was the fight the other day? Don't do another fucking double page spread.
Oh God, we had a big fight about double page spreads. Yeah,
It's like, Jesus Christ, man, fuck.
and then
What do you think I'm Mattteo Scalera? What the?
but then again, we get on because usually it's Jonathan is texting me and being mean to me. I was like, let's get on the phone so we can talk this over. And tell me if it's true or not. After you finished all of the layouts and everything, are those pages not freaking awesome? Are they not really worth it being there?
Well, if we're only counting the layouts, then we're okay.
Yes,
I still got to draw that shit. So you still have some bitching to deal with.
Yeah, but no, like
Okay, so is Jonathan complaining that you put too many double spread pages on the?
well,
okay,
just any. It's not even too many. It's any. He doesn't want like
okay,
double page spreads. White, like just any.
And Daniel, is it your first time as a writer, like not only like officially published work, but in general, or have you written something else before this?
I've been writing for years for myself. I've never made anything never got to a finished state. And I even mentioned this to Jonathan, because then I was very insecure about something, and we're working like the Marvel way. Like I just start with the loose plot, and then Jonathan does his thing, and I think it helps a lot that we always talk. So even as far as editorial approvals goes, I think Thomas already knows that once he reaches him, like they talk every day. This is how they want it to be.
Said that.
So I think it's a cool thing. But I was always very afraid about the dialogue part, the script part. Because again, I've been creating worlds, I've been creating stories for many years, but since it never went to the art stage on any of those, I never practiced that a lot. So I was very insecure about that.
That's the problem that I'm finding as well. I'm trying to correct as I'm working on my book, because I tend to see the stories as a movie that I'm watching, and that's how I write my dialogues. But when you watch a movie, there's a lot of you see, man, I was thinking, all this kind of things that are completely like useless in a comic book. So you have to cut a lot of fat away. So that's what I'm doing for book number 2, because I'm realizing in book number 1 is that I put too much of that stuff that doesn't mean anything in a book. It's just taking room away from the art.
Yeah, well, and even because I read a lot of novels as well as comics. I read a lot of novels. I read a lot of comics, and I read a lot of manga. So I consume a lot of like writing stuff, and I do notice and again, being Europeans and everything, because again, I still live in Portugal and all of that. So it's not my first language. I tend to be really verbose when I'm writing. I notice it gets more elaborate to the point that it's more novel-like than comic book-like. But even because I did a first draft that needed working, in the second draft, fortunately, and then Jonathan and Tara helped me, and Thomas and all of that. But it was more than of like, okay, you need to trim the fat on this as far as making it like it's somebody actually speaking it not as novelish per se, not as elaborate. So I'm enjoying it too. I'm enjoying it, but I was afraid of that. It's not as hard as drawing
too, because you experience some of the same in a different way things that I kind of experienced with the second guessing yourself. Because remember, your first pass wasn't really what you first did.
No, the second draft
and the second draft was what you instinctually did, and it was fucking amazing.
Yep. So that's it. Like I wrote something. I was like, this is not right. I rewrote it. I sent it in, and it wasn't great. So I just went back to the first thing I wrote and never showed anybody, and that was the thing that made it in, and everybody liked. So, and you will remember, I never bitched at you a single time.
Well, you should toughen up and do it more.
You pussy.
Right. No, I think it's cool that that we both are experiencing sort of this growing pain. And like I said, we talk. I don't really think about like, oh, I have this goal to work with Scott Snyder, or we just have our things that we want to do. And we talk all the time, and it's like we just want to create shit. Yeah. So now it's just like we're just trying to like push each other to keep getting better. And,
absolutely.
Torture each other as much as possible. So
as far as I'm concerned, again, like I said, because this is about 12 years in the making that we're talking and everything. This was my goal all along. I don't care about the inking and everything. I was like, Jonathan is good. He's going to get there, and I'm going to be able to ride his coattails. So that, for me, that was all that I wanted. But it is funny because it's been a long process. Because like I said, Jonathan got me in the business. And even the way that I entered was very weird and could have gone very, very badly. And then because I've seen your career keep rising. You saw mine even from the inception, per se, and all of the ups and downs. It is kind of crazy to think that now we're getting to do something like this. It's pretty cool.
And for Todd, it is wild.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. Well,
because I'll
go ahead, Daniel.
No, because I was going to say, because again, not trying to be fanboy, but I got into comics because of Spawn. And I got into inking because, again, here in Portugal, we don't know comics. Like, there wasn't a big comic book culture. So I got into inking because my dream was to ink Todd one day. Not even knowing that Todd didn't use inkers and all of that. So everything kind of comes full term. And Jonathan started working for Todd on Simon Twitch and all of that. So it did came full circle.
Yeah, it's awesome, pretty awesome. Doing my first Spawn cover, it was like Todd was a big reason I wanted to do comics. Like when I first saw his work, it was like, that's what I want to do. So to get to do that is crazy. But I think that just gets to the power of just manifesting shit, like making shit happen.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so just to circle back to, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead, Mattteo.
I want it because I see that we're hitting we just hit the 1 hour mark, and I wanted to circle back for 1 second to AI, because it's something that I had in my head, and then we started talking about something else, so it went away. But so how about this? Since the three of you, if I'm not mistaken, you all said, I don't give a shit about AI. I'm not going to use it. I don't care. How about this use for AI? So every time I need to do something like a book that takes place, I don't know, in New York in 1735 or something like that, like I got to look for references. And so I got to look for movies and stuff like that. I got to Google image, trying to find something, like scroll down. It takes me a day just to find references for just one page. Maybe AI could be useful for that because it has already all the database for that. So I can prompt an AI thing just to tell me, okay, how New York in 1730.
Right. Now this gets
could be
to
a
my
smart use of AI.
I agree with you, and I'm not against that. Like that's what when we first were talking about it, it's a tool, and I've seen concept artists use it to spark ideas that they would then go draw. Like their AI could be a wonderful tool. I have no doubt.
It's hard to argue that that's not a viable tool from your perspective, Mattteo, because if time is money and you have an idea of what you're looking for, but anybody who's Googled something, I mean, I was just doing it the other day, like Googling reference material. And it's like you can go forever trying to find the right, what you're looking for. But if you tell me you have a tool that I can explain what I'm looking for and I can springboard off of that, it's hard to imagine that not being a viable tool, whether you like it or not.
No, I agree with it.
Yeah, to me, it's the thing that it's basically the real thing that excites me is that, like, thinking that, I need to draw, I don't know, like a war in France in the 1500s. So I wear the uniforms for the soldiers. I'm just Googling like whatever. I got to get good at prompting the thing, but if I get good at it, I can get a lot of images so I can see all the different uniforms. And that's what I'm going to use in my book. I'm not going to, I'm not going to use the poses and all that stuff. I don't give a shit. Like the faces of the soldiers, I don't give a shit. But it will give me all the uniforms and stuff just in one click. So that's.
Or how about even this? How about even some of those images that kick out may influence your color palette. Like if you're a colorist, you know what I mean? You may get a sense of like what you're looking for there.
The thing is, what we're talking about is then Mattteo has the skill set as an artist to go draw and color and paint those things the way he does it. So as a source of inspiration, I think it's a really interesting tool.
Yep. I don't
know how much of it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I always like to play devil's advocate, and I agree with everything that you guys are saying. But what you're forgetting is that you're all pieces of crap because you're using scrapped images. So it doesn't matter what you want to do because the basis of it, you suck. Even if you're using it for reference, it was used as illegal stuff. And again, I say this, I hope there's compensation and those lawsuits go ahead. But that's the problem with all of this conversation, because people, again, that's enough almost to have artists trying to cancel other artists based on that premise of it's scraped images. And it doesn't matter if and I get it's a different scale, but it doesn't matter if you're an artist and you go online to, like, for example, we were talking about that artist at DC and everything that had those AI images. You also had a lot of images from Ben Affleck as Batman that you can see were taken straight from the movie. Nobody cares about that. Is that not theft anymore?
Well, yeah, see, that's something I always hated. And we had a whole episode of that where Eric thought I was an elitist for hating photo tracing. But yeah.
But see, here's even my thing. I'm not even trying to hate on photo tracing. I'm trying to compare to a certain degree, because for years and years, backgrounds and etc., when artists go and trace photos from the internet, did you ask? Like, it's that same thing as that painter we were talking about.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
It's stolen images.
Yeah,
absolutely. From what I remember, like there was some written rules. Maybe it was Marvel about using references specifically, and the contract would say if you use photographic reference, just make sure that you're not using them. I don't know to say like verbatim. It's not for
that
images,
all started
for words, but
that all started. That letter, I remember this so clearly. This photographer, last name was Schatz, put out a book of ballet dancers, and they were primarily nude and ripped and doing all these amazing ballet moves. It was called Passion in Line. And I remember getting the book. I was like, oh my God, because I could study anatomy and do all these studies. But everyone started just flat out tracing the drawing. Like there's like 3 Quesada Daredevil covers that are right out of that book. And all these artists were using it. And I think it became a legal problem for people.
Oh, shit.
So they had to put out that letter.
You know, my thing is kind of like, there's all different levels in the industry as far as like, you know, artist skill levels. And, you know, and now with this, with AI, even with like using photo reference or light boxing or tracing, if you're going to complain about Rob Liefeld's anatomy or Todd's anatomy, then you have to be okay with somebody deciding to trace.
Yeah.
Right.
There has to be some kind of balance or room for everyone to kind of just find what they like instead of trying to like go after everybody and hyper criticize this fantasy that we're creating on paper.
Yeah.
Because then it gets a little weird. It's like, you know, it just gets weird for me. Like that's why I try not to look at bad shit. It's like, send me cool shit.
And I will say so though, and I know you guys are probably wanting to wrap this up, but because one of the for me the funny things about the AI too is because most people seem to really hate on what they call, you know, like the prompt, like the AI bros, like common people who just do prompting and want to put something online and be like, you're going to ruin the business and everything. And I find it so fascinating how seasoned artists are not able to just say that, like, those are not an issue whatsoever. That's people who want to do stuff. They might be pumping the internet with that, but that's not an issue. It's even what we were just talking. The issue is the artist who knows how to draw, who knows how to use all of that, and he will be untraceable. And he's now able to pump out twice the work, or he was at a certain level and now he's here because he's incorporated and nobody can tell. That's the issue. And the issue per se, again, I'm not even trying to attack one way or the other, but to see all of this like hate going towards all of that, it's just so weird to me. I have a hard time understanding how that's even a movement, to be honest.
Yeah. It was like the issue with digital, when digital came along for inking, It's, oh, the computer's going to kill the job of inking. And I always stood by, no, what's going to kill inking is pencilers able to ink themselves more efficiently digital. It's when the people with the skill set, or when inkers that traditionally ink and understand the tools, figure out how to use the digital tools, that is what's going to change things. But see, now you have pencilers able to ink themselves digitally and move things along faster.
Yeah.
And inkers who also don't do the best job that they could, the quality of the inking and of the craft depreciating a little bit. There was levels to it, but yes.
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode.
No, that's literally a whole entire episode.
You guys will have to come back for that one.
Right.
We could just keep going. Well, thank you guys for coming on today.
You guys.
Appreciate it.
It was a huge pleasure.
For having us.
Yeah, and when I hit stop, don't leave yet. Just we'll talk after we're gonna end. But Mattteo, you want to sign us out?
Still going.
He's still going.
It's impressive.
I'm just gonna pass out.
Shit.
All right.
Oh my God.
Inkpulp Podcast.